Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul. And just as we've been doing here lately, we've been on a journey through the 70s, and we are going to stick with that for the short-term foreseeable future here in January. And for this one, we are going back to early 1972. Remember this album? Well, it would be helpful if you could see the album. Remember this album? America, released in late 1971, December of 71 over in the UK, but January of 72 here in the States. And man, America, their first album, they come out on fire with their very first single, A Horse with No Name. Now check this out. First album, first song, first single released all the way up to number 1 in the US, number 3 in the adult contemporary chart, and number 3 in the UK for A Horse with No Name. That was their very first single. Now, we are going to hear the follow-up to A Horse with No Name, and that was this fine composition, I Need You, written and sung by Jerry Beckley of America there. So I should let you know America is Jerry Beckley, Dan Peek, and Dewey Bunnell. And man, those three gents, as I said, started out their career on fire. Horse with No Name all the way up to number 1. I Need You goes up to number 9 on the US pop chart and number 7 on the adult contemporary chart. So right out of the gate with their first record, man, America is having hits, and not just having any old hits, but these are just great songs. Horse with No Name, an absolute classic. And I always felt like this one, I Need You, was sort of an under-the-radar classic in its own right. Yeah, it was a top 10 hit song, which sounds pretty big, but I always just thought that in their catalog and for those times, this was just sort of a very underrated song that always got me. This was such an unusual... there's something about this song that's so unusual that especially back then on the radio, this song just had a sound that really was so unique and really stood out. And as I was thinking about it when I was queuing the song up here a little while ago, I was thinking how it feels like this really big ballad, but it's not. That bigness that you perceive in this song is not coming from some huge production where there's big booming drums and screaming guitars and it's like a big rock ballad, like we've talked about with some of these early rock ballads from the 70s, power ballads, right? This is not a power ballad, and yet it just sounds so huge because of the beautiful way that they arranged it, especially the vocals are just pristine. But the whole production just so beautifully arranged and so beautifully recorded, and just gives this song a power and a presence that I always thought was just so unique and so cool to America. The way they sort of fiddled with the dynamics and didn't give you what your ear might have been expecting for a big beat ballad, but the way they just kept the dynamics sort of level throughout the song, but the intensity is still there. And that to me is the great musical accomplishment of this song. Very intense and very passionate, and you can really feel this one in your heart if you get into it. But the production of the music sort of belies that. Pretty cool job by Jerry Beckley and America. Let's hear it. I Need You. This was the follow-up, as I said, to Horse with No Name. And America, man, they get hot right there at the beginning, and they rattle off. I counted, this was the second of 7 top 10 songs for these three guys. So a pretty great start to their career. And this was one, man, that after Horse with No Name and then hearing this on the album, I could never let this one go. Always loved it. It is America from early 1972, I Need You.
We used to laugh, we used to cry, we used to bow our heads then,
Beautiful.
wonder why.
Beautiful music.
Now you're gone, I guess I'll carry on. Make the best
Just
of what you left to me. Left to me. Left to me. I need you. Like the flower needs the rain, you know I need you. Guess I'll start it all again, you know I need you. Like the winter needs the spring, you know I need you. I need you.
What a change.
And every day I laugh the hours away. Just knowing you were thinking of me. And then it came that I was put to blame for every story told about me. About me, about me. I need you. Like the flower needs the rain, you know I need you. Guess I'll start it all again, you know I need you. I need you. I need you. Like the winter needs the spring, you know I need you. Guess I'll start it all again, you know I need you. I need you. I need you. Like the flower needs the rain, you know I need you. Guess I'll start it all again, you know I need you. I need you. I need you. Like the winter needs the spring, you know I need you. Guess I'll start it all again, you know I need you.
Boy, you turn it up loud, and that is just breathtaking. Such an incredibly gorgeous vocal performance by not only Jerry Beckley, but his partners there, Dan Peek and Dewey Bunnell. A great individual and group vocal effort, and as I said, that track, man, what an arrangement and what a production. You keep waiting for that big build-up and that big release of all that tension, but they never really release it through the dynamics of the music. That song just surges along, and they keep that intensity ratcheted up for the entire song. And I think that just that surging passion and that just such a emotional track, such a beautiful track, the way they put that one together. America, man, I'll tell you, back in the day on the radio, you'd hear that on the radio, and there was nothing. When you could say that about any number of the America songs, right? Those guys, you got to give those guys a lot of credit because they were very original, even though it was obvious where some of their influences were coming from. At the same time, they produced a sound themselves that was pretty darn original and pretty fresh. But yeah, this was a song that, like so many of their other big hits there early in the 70s there, America, man, sounded so unique and so cool, and you could hear their stuff a million times and just never get tired of those sounds. I mean, I think of Ventura Highway and just some of the cool stuff that they did, Sister Golden Hair and Daisy Jane. I mean, just one after the other. Some really cool stuff by America. How would you like to start your career? I mean, especially this is what, 72. I mean, the music marketplace in 1972 was such an embarrassment of riches. It was insane how much great music was just coming out all of the time, right? It was just such an incredibly, in one sense, it was a really open and very creative marketplace, but in another sense, it was a very crowded musical marketplace too, because there's only room for so much music on the radio or on the charts or wherever in people's collections, I guess, or being played on the radio. And so right into the middle of such an incredible time, such an incredibly rich time in American pop music history, these guys just fall right in there with this first album. And man, Jerry Beckley, Dan Peek, and Dewey Bunnell, they crush it right from the start. This album is a monster hit right out of the gate, and they just keep going. They rattle off, what, 4, 5, 6 albums in a row there with hit after hit after hit. And so much of their stuff, as I said, really holds up and really sounds great to this day. And that is why we will be coming back around to America in a future episode. But this one has been haunting me for the longest time. I Need You. Man, early 72. Always just loved this one. See you in the next one, folks. More groovy 70s on the way. I think I know where we're going next, and it's one of my all-timers. I know I always say that, but really, if you look back at the channel here, it's been, what, 7 months, 6 months, something like that. Out of the 200 and whatever odd videos I've done, I mean, I only parcel out my very top 10, top 20 favorite songs every once in a while, because I don't want to just burn through them all, right? And just give them all to you all at once, and then I got nowhere else to go, right? So I drop my very favorites intersperse them among some of these other songs that I also love and near and dear to my heart. But I think this next one, I'll let you know. When we get there to the next one, I'll let you know for sure if this is the one. But I think where we're going next, man, is it top 10 all time? Is it top 15, top 20? It is exquisite, but I'll let you know if that's the one we do. See you in the next one, folks. How about America, huh? Jerry Beckley, Dan Peek, and Dewey Bunnell, man. Those guys. Give me any one of their great hit songs on my credit that I wrote that song, and I'd be freaking set and thrilled for life, right? What a great catalog those guys put up back there in the day. See you in the next one, folks. America.